you ever wake up and feel like your brain's running on 3% battery, but your to-do list is demanding full power? Like, you're supposed to go to work, clean your room, maybe make a life plan, but instead you're sitting in bed, trying to decide if putting on pants is worth it today? Well, welcome to the weird, foggy world of depression, the global heavyweight champ of invisible illnesses. Yep. Depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide. And no, it's not just about being sad. It's more like if sadness got a management job, installed a dimmer switch on your joy, and then hid the remote. And stick around till the end, because you'll want to know what sheep, sleep, brain goo, and electroshock therapy have to do with this whole mess. Yes, all of those are real things. Now, first up, let's clear the fog. We all get down sometimes. Maybe your favorite pizza place closed, your dog gave you the cold shoulder, or the universe just seems to be glitching for no good reason. That's normal. It's part of the human software package. But depression? Oh, it's next level. It's not just feeling low, it's getting stuck in low gear for weeks. And it doesn't always come with a reason. Sometimes it just shows up, like a houseguest who forgot to knock, and brought an emotional gravity blanket with them. So, what's it like? Imagine you stop enjoying your favorite things, like pizza, plants, or watching raccoon videos at 2 a.m. You might sleep too much, or not at all. Eating? Either you're devouring your feelings, or your appetite's gone on vacation. Guilt shows up uninvited. Energy packs its bags and moves out. And your brain? It starts whispering unhelpful things, over and over. If you've got 5 or more of those symptoms for more than 2 weeks, congrats, you qualify for the world's least fun club. But don't worry, you're not alone. You're in the very large, very uninvited company of millions. And here's where it gets juicy. Depression isn't just in your head, it's also in your, well, actual head. Brain scans of people with depression, they show shrunken parts like the frontal lobe, that's the CEO of your brain, and the hippocampus, your memory librarian. Basically, it's like your brain offices got downsized during a blackout. And inside those brain rooms, the chemical interns are on strike. Serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, the famous mood chemicals, either aren't showing up to work or are faxing in incomplete reports. Even your sleep gets weird. You might skip deep sleep or get stuck in a never-ending dream loop where your teeth fall out and your high school math teacher is judging you again. And then there's cortisol, the stress hormone. In depression, it's like your body keeps pressing the panic button, even when you're just folding laundry. Now, the million-dollar question, where does depression come from? Short answer, science is still figuring that out. Long answer, it's a messy cocktail of genetics, brain chemistry, life experiences, and occasionally, cosmic bad luck. Some people are born with a brain that's extra sensitive to stress. Others develop depression after loss, trauma, or spending too much time on social media, comparing their breakfast to strangers' vacations in Santorini. And to make things trickier, there's no perfect blood test or brain scan that can say, aha, that's depression. It's more like a puzzle where the pieces are invisible and keep changing shape. Now, here's the good news. Depression is treatable, like genuinely, measurably, successfully treatable. And no, it's not all just think positive posters and herbal tea, although hey, tea helps too. You've got real, evidence-based options. Therapy. Basically, a licensed brain detective helps you untangle your mental spaghetti. But scientifically, therapy, especially something called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, literally rewires your brain. CBT works by helping you spot unhelpful thought patterns, like, I'm a failure, or nothing will ever get better, and challenge them with more balanced, reality-based thinking. Studies using brain scans have shown that people who go through successful therapy show changes in the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles planning, logic, and emotional control. Think of it as upgrading your internal operating system with better, less buggy code. Medication. Antidepressants like SSRIs, flexible serotonin reuptake inhibitors, don't make you happy. They make it easier for your brain to balance itself. Your brain uses neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine to regulate mood. In depression, those chemicals often aren't firing properly, or your brain isn't responding to them like it should. Antidepressants help increase the availability of those chemicals in your brain so they can do their job. It's kind of like giving your brain better Wi-Fi, so its signals actually connect. And no, they're not addictive. They don't erase your personality. They just give your brain a biochemical nudge back toward balance. Lifestyle changes. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out. Science shows that physical movement, regular sunlight exposure, good sleep, and even social connection can help ease depression symptoms. Why? Because all of those things stimulate dopamine and serotonin production. Yes, the same feel-good chemicals that meds target. Even something as simple as daily walks has been shown in studies to be just as effective as antidepressants for some mild cases. And petting animals? That increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Translation: petting a dog might literally make you feel less alone. These habits don't replace therapy or medication, but they supercharge them. Electroconvulsive therapy. Okay, I know it sounds like a scene from a Frankenstein movie, but ECT today is safe, controlled, and highly effective, especially for people with severe or treatment-resistant depression. Here's what happens. Doctors apply a brief electrical pulse to your brain while you're under anesthesia to trigger a controlled seizure. This might sound scary, but the science is wild. That seizure actually resets brain activity, improving communication between different brain regions. ECT is often life-saving when nothing else has worked, and it's backed by decades of clinical evidence. Transcranial magnetic stimulation. Their charge is like giving your brain a motivational speech, using magnets. No surgery, no anesthesia, just a magnetic coil placed on your scalp that stimulates specific regions of your brain linked to mood regulation, especially the left prefrontal cortex, which tends to go offline during depression. Studies show that charge maths can help jumpstart these underactive areas and lead to long-term improvement. And the best part? You can usually read a book during the session. Total sci-fi vibes, zero lightning bolts. And here's a final twist. Talking about it helps a lot. Now I know what you're thinking. If someone's already down in the dumps, poking around their emotions with a conversation stick might feel risky. But science says otherwise. In fact, research shows that asking someone if they're thinking about suicide doesn't plant the idea. It actually lowers the risk. How? Because it brings air to a fire that's been burning silently. Silence is where depression thrives. It's like mold in a dark closet. But when you open the door, shine a light, and say, "Hey, you okay?" suddenly, the mold has nowhere to hide. One study published in the journal Psychological Medicine found that open conversations about suicidal thoughts not only didn't increase the risk, they reduced distress and helped people feel understood. It's called the interpersonal theory of suicide. One key ingredient behind suicidal thoughts is a feeling of disconnection, like no one gets it, or no one would care if you disappeared. So when someone does ask, gently, sincerely, it breaks that illusion. Even just naming what you're feeling gives your brain a little more control. It's called affect labeling, a fancy neuroscience term that basically means labeling your emotions helps calm the brain. When you say, "I feel hopeless," out loud, your amygdala, that fight or flight drama queen in your brain, starts to chill out. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, the reasonable one, gets to step in and say, "Okay, we're not okay, but at least we're not alone. And yes, you're also right. When people are depressed, they often don't want to talk. Not because they're being dramatic or difficult, but because depression plays this sneaky trick where it whispers that nobody would understand anyway. Or worse, that they'd be a burden for even trying. So reaching out can feel like trying to shout through a thick emotional fog. One that tells you to stay quiet, stay small, stay stuck. That's why it's so important for the rest of us to gently knock on that foggy window. Even just saying, "I'm here when you're ready," can open a door. You don't have to fix anything. Just being present helps more than you know. Because conversation doesn't solve depression, but it does remind someone that they're still part of the world. And when you're stuck inside your own mind, that reminder can be life-saving. So, campers, if your brain has ever felt like it's glitching, just know you're not broken, you're human. And humans, we're resilient, curious, and full of potential, even when our brain tries to convince us otherwise. Thanks for tuning into Mind Camp, where your neurons get snacks and your questions get answers. Yay! If this episode lifted your spirits, or at least gave your inner frontal lobe a warm hug, hit that subscribe button. Like, share, or tap that bell, preferably not with a table knife, but maybe with a fluffy emotional support llama. We'll see you at the next campfire session, where curiosity is always welcome and your mind gets to stretch its legs.